I think now more than ever, there's a lot of competition out there. So I would just say, put that extra attention to detail, make sure everything is communicated exquisitely clear, and that your brand is realized the way that you want it.
Hey guys, this is Sid Patel, CEO of Beverage Trade Network and CEO of Sommeliers Choice Awards, and we are live here on day 2 of the Sommeliers Choice Awards and Bartender Spirits Awards. I have Luke Fleming here. He and I are going to talk about how wineries can improve their tasting room experience, develop their hospitality programs, and really grow their top line sales and profits as well. So I'm sure that it's going to be a fun conversation, especially if you're a winery trying to improve your bottom lines there. Luke, thanks for joining me here.
Pleasure, Sid. Thank you.
Great. Appreciate you coming in as a judge. You've been a sommelier, for many years, and that experience allows you to bring the hospitality component, right?
Absolutely.
To the winery, to the distillery. I'm sure a lot of people are fascinated to go to distilleries as well this time. So
sure.
Let's talk about designing a good program, which you named it as hospitality program, right?
Sure.
So what does that include? What does that mean? What kind of different things go there?
Yeah, well, it's a great question, Sid. Thank you for asking it. I think that in general, when you come up working in restaurants, and there's a certain path that we all take, and it leads us to the end result is that we have chosen basically to take care of people. We want to really make everyone's experiences that much better or memorable, right? And that's the main difference. So you can say, well, I like this, I like that, but what separates this product from the next product, right? It's usually the connections that you have with something. True. And so you can have a connection to the actual product itself, the beverage. Maybe you like to drive a certain variety of car and you always buy that variety of car. Well, in the hospitality business, that product is generally linked to me as a person, right? So I have a lot of people who I've met in different facets of my career, and you try to extend that to every hospitality program that you run. It's the personalities that are within that company. How can you bring those out? How can you bring those to the table to enhance the product itself?
So, definitely I agree with you. Like, if I would go to a winery, especially if it will be more of an experience thing.
Yeah.
So very hard for me to repeat a winery.
Sure.
Especially if I'm not from the town, right?
Absolutely.
I would want to cover different kind of wineries every time. So how do you retain a floating customer?
Yeah, again, it's about building that rapport, finding commonality, finding communication. Wine and spirits, it's a pretty broad world that everybody's pretty interested in right now. So almost like the customer is built in to some degree.
Sure.
So being able to, again, find a good common ground to communicate with, and then really just being yourself and finding ways, some people like a real formal presentation. Some people who maybe are formal in the rest of their lives don't want a formal presentation. So it's about finding that, and those instincts that you have over years of being in the hospitality industry will really benefit you, and being able to find that common ground.
Understood.
Yeah.
Let's go on the hospitality, building up the programs, right, and top line sales and whatnot.
Yeah.
So as a winery,
Sure.
Apart from the traditional distribution model of the business, what other avenues are there to make money? Can you just walk us through some options that come to mind?
Yeah, well, I think that many wineries in particular are going to what they call a DTC model, which is direct to consumer.
Correct.
They're finding that internet sals went through the roof during COVID, and they're trying to figure out ways of tapping into that. Now, wineries that are used to the distribution model have to still cater to that market, right? That's where they built from. But they're really all trying to pivot because basically there's more dollars to be made off of your product through that direct to consumer. So how do you bring that consumer back? That's the question.
Now direct to consumer means online direct buying, just to break it down for people, cellar door sales,
visitation, online, subscription programs, so
right.
wine clubs
Okay.
basically. You're selling that product directly to the consumer as opposed to giving it to a restaurant and having a sommelier sell it for you.
And that's what you've designed in some of the wineries to cater the programs around the consumer?
Yes. So my direct role currently is less of the outreach to the kind of global and more the focus, those who visit.
So let's go there.
The winery, yeah.
So what kind of things you would do to improve the experience or to improve the sales? What have you done in your particular as a case study?
Yeah, so I think again, the things that I've noticed with people, it's about communication. So sometimes things are overly complex. Sometimes you're trying too hard. So simplification and clarity is really important. And when you have someone's attention for a small period of time, you just want to make sure that you're delivering the correct messaging in the correct way to as many people as you possibly can. So a lot of the things are very small as they are. If you go to a high-level Michelin restaurant, you're not supposed to go, wow, this is so different. You're just supposed to feel it, and you're supposed to feel that. So it's very, very similar in high-level.
So what are the touch points there? Like the person greeting someone, checking in at the winery, the main door, to the cellar, or
very similar to a Michelin star restaurant. You come in with somebody else's wine. You've been to another wine tasting and you have somebody else's logo on their bag.
Yeah.
May I check that? May I put that into our cellar for you?
Yes.
It does two things. One is it takes somebody else's brand off of your brand, as well as it does them a service because it's hot in Napa Valley.
Yeah.
And you're saying, hey, that wine's important to you. You've already purchased it. I'm going to take care of that for you. And I'm going to have it for you when you're ready. Taking wine out to people's cars. These are all little things that build up and add that extra touch. And that's the reason why people come back to you. So one thing that's happened throughout the wine industry is that it's gotten very complicated for visitation, not only during COVID, but post-COVID. There's a lot of people coming to these very small valleys. And how you treat them has become more and more important. When you come to buy your third Porsche, are you still treated as a VIP, or you just assume that you're going to buy another Porsche, right?
True.
So it's the same in the winery business. You want to make sure that person feels extra taken care of.
Got it. Look, any other pointers out there, that you may have just for 5 checkpoints that you would advise winery to go back and check what they're doing and making sure the experience is there?
Yeah, no, you just have to be aware of all the little details. It's everything. When you're making those final decisions between saving a couple of dollars on this part of your packaging versus that, just it compounds exponentially, and it's just worth it to go for that little extra touch to separate yourself in any way that you can. I think now more than ever, there's a lot of competition out there. So I would just say put that extra attention to detail, make sure everything is communicated exquisitely clear, and that your brand is realized the way that you want it.